All right, let's get right into it. Today, we're breaking down a practical manual for civilian survival. We're going to skip all the theory and focus on the clear, actionable skills you actually need when the systems we all rely on suddenly aren't there.
And this quote right here, it's really the heart of everything we're about to cover. The main idea is about empowerment. It's about switching your thinking from, being a victim of what's happening to you to being someone who is active and prepared. It all comes down to knowledge, awareness, and having a plan.
So, here's how we're going to break this down. We'll start with the absolute foundation, situational awareness. Then, we'll dive into immediate actions, things like trauma care and securing shelter. After that, we'll cover essential resources, water and food. Next up, staying connected, which means communication and movement. And finally, we'll look at the long game, building your own resilience and adaptability.
Okay, part 1, the foundation, situational awareness. We are starting here for a very simple reason. This is the single most critical skill you can have. Think of it as the mental software that's always running in the background, guiding every single decision you're going to make in a crisis.
So what does that actually mean? Look, it's not about being paranoid or on edge all the time. It's really just about recognizing patterns. Your goal is to get a feel for the baseline of your environment. What are the normal sounds, the normal sights? How do people normally behave? That way, when something breaks that pattern, it just feels wrong. It sticks out. You're basically just training your brain to see what's actually there.
Now this slide really shows you the payoff. On the left, you've got a proactive response. It's born from awareness, and it gives you the one thing you can't get back: time. We're talking precious seconds to make a logical, life-saving choice. But on the right, you're caught by surprise. That leads to panic or freezing up, and it just burns through that critical time. That's the difference awareness makes.
So how do you actually build this skill? Well, it's all about simple habits. When you walk into a building, just take a second to find the exits. When you're outside, notice things that could be solid cover. And this is a big one for all of us. Get your head out of your phone and actually look around you. At night, practice light discipline. That just means using heavy curtains or blankets so no light escapes. That's absolutely crucial for not drawing any unwanted attention.
Okay, so with that foundation in place, let's move on to part 2. We're talking immediate action, trauma care, and securing shelter. Because when something bad happens, those first few minutes are totally non-negotiable. This is where real, practical skills save lives.
Okay, listen up, because if you only learn one thing about trauma, make it this: bleeding control. The first 5 minutes are everything. Step 1 is direct pressure. Find any clean cloth you can and apply firm, constant pressure right on the wound. If it's a limb and that's not stopping it, you go to step 2, a tourniquet, and you always apply it above the wound. Knowing these 2 steps can literally be the difference between life and death before help can get there.
Of course, knowing what to do is one thing, having the tools to do it is another. This is a list of the bare essentials for home trauma kit. It's not complicated stuff. Gauze, pressure bandages, and, this is really important, a proper commercial tourniquet. They're just way more reliable than anything you can improvise. Having this stuff on hand means you can actually use the skills we just talked about.
In the event of an explosion, this is pure muscle memory. It's simple, it's universal. Drop, cover, and protect. You drop to the ground instantly. That gets you below the main blast wave and most of the shrapnel. You cover your head and neck with your arms, protecting the most vulnerable parts of your body. And you protect yourself by trying to get behind anything solid that can take the impact.
Okay, but where do you go for shelter? This slide makes it pretty clear. On the left, that's your goal: underground spaces, inner rooms without windows, the core of a building. On the right, that's what you have to avoid. Being near glass is a huge no. Vehicles offer almost no real protection, and you obviously want to stay away from places like fuel stations. The simple rule? Walls? Good. Windows? Very, very bad.
Part 3, essential resources, securing water and food. All right, so you've handled the immediate danger. Now what? Well, the next phase is all about logistics. And nothing, I mean nothing, is more fundamental than water and calories. You need to burn this number into your brain: 2 to 3 liters of water per adult per day, minimum. See, dehydration doesn't just make you thirsty, it seriously messes with your physical ability, and even more importantly, your ability to think clearly and make good decisions. Your best bet always is to have water stored ahead of time.
But what happens when that stored water is gone? You've got to know how to make found water safe. These are your top 3 methods. Boiling is the gold standard.
A rolling boil for 1 minute kills most of the nasty stuff. If you're short on fuel, chemical treatments are your next best thing. And a portable filter is great for getting all the gunk out before you boil or treat it, which makes a big difference.
And for food, it's a similar story. We're thinking long-term, shelf-stable. This table really lays out the foundation. Rice, beans, lentils, they last forever, and they store easily. Canned goods are fantastic for balanced nutrition. And you can't forget high-calorie stuff like dried fruits and nuts for quick energy.
Part 4 is all about staying connected, which covers communication and movement. In a crisis, good information is a resource just as vital as water or food. But let's be honest, the modern information landscape is a total minefield, and just moving from one place to another can be incredibly dangerous.
And that brings us to the biggest question of all. Misinformation, rumors, propaganda, they spread like wildfire in an emergency. Knowing how to separate fact from fiction isn't just a nice skill to have, it's a flat-out survival skill. Bad decisions and a lot of panic almost always start with bad information.
So, how do you sort the good info from the bad? This comparison is your guide. You want to stick to official broadcasts, which is why a battery-powered radio is so important. Always try to confirm what you're hearing from multiple trusted sources. And you gotta be super skeptical of anything you see on social media, especially posts that are designed to make you angry or afraid.
Now, what if staying put isn't an option and you have to move fast? This is where your go bag comes in. This is your checklist of absolute essentials, pre-packed and ready to grab at a moment's notice. You'll see it has documents, basic supplies, and that all-important radio. The key here is to keep it light enough that you can actually carry it for a long time if you have to.
And that brings us to our final section, the long game, focusing on resilience and adaptability. Look, surviving the first few hours or days is one thing, but enduring a long-term crisis, that requires a totally different set of skills and a different mindset.
We talk a lot about gear and supplies, but honestly, your mental state is your most important tool. The stress in these situations is immense. Simple things like controlled breathing can literally calm your body's fight-or-flight response. Keeping a simple routine, any routine, gives you a sense of control. And it's so important to focus on the small, actionable things you can do instead of worrying about all the things you can't.
You know, when all the high-tech stuff we rely on goes dark, it's the simple, old-school skills that suddenly become priceless. Can you read a physical map if GPS is down? Can you do a simple repair to keep a piece of equipment working? This is all about adaptability. It's about seeing a plastic sheet not as trash, but as a way to seal a leak. Seeing broken furniture not as junk, but as fuel.
And that right there, that's really the key to the whole thing. Survival isn't about having one perfect plan that you follow to the letter. It's a constant process of adjusting to a reality that's changing around you. It's about being able to pivot, to adjust, to see a problem and figure out a new solution on the fly. That's what turns a paralyzing situation into a manageable challenge.
So we've gone through a ton of information here, all the way from situational awareness to long-term resilience. But just listening to this, well, that's not enough. As this final slide asks, knowledge is only the first step. The real question is, what are you going to do with it? What will your second step be?